All right, let's try this again. Hi. Well, there is an issue here. I don't know why this does this every time, but I figured out what the problem was so I can do it. But anyway, um, so the big news today, or this week, obviously, is the Democratic National Convention. And it started out about the way I thought it would, as in lots of finger pointing directions that maybe they shouldn't have been pointed, in particular by one Andrew Cuomo. Now, it'd be easy just to rip into Andrew Cuomo for the entire show, but there are other things happening in the world. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the convention and a little bit about a couple other things. Hey, you know what else we have today? You know, if you've been with us for a long time, you know that on Wednesdays, I used to do what I called the Jussie update. Remember him? That guy in Chicago, the Subway sandwich and all that stuff? Jussie, remember him? Juicy, as Dave Chappelle calls him. Well, we have an update. Not necessarily specifically about Jussie, but there's an update of that story. So we'll do that after I hit the intro. Ladies and gentlemen, see you in a couple minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from the Lucky Dog studio in a hidden location somewhere in the upper Midwest of the United States of America, it's a brother making his own way, but with all the wrong opinions. Welcome to the Morning Night Live with your host, yours truly, P. Dawg Knight. And stop the music. Good morning, kids. It's the Morning Night Live with your host, me, Marty, also known as P. Dawg Knight on the internet. It is Wednesday, hump day. No, wait, today's not Wednesday. Today's Tuesday. Well, close enough. My days just meld together, and I never really know what day it is. It's Tuesday, the 18th of August, 2020. And, I guess we're doing the Jussie update a day early, but because the news hit yesterday, I don't even know why I said it was Wednesday. You know, it just happens. It just happens. Let's just get it rolling. Hit the like button if you like what we do on the show, and if you don't, by the end of the show, you'll like it. I promise. I'll remind you. Do that thing. All right, let's say good morning to everybody real quick before we go on. Somebody new getting the small bell. Someone getting the bell today. First in the chat was Small Man. You get the bell, man. Welcome to the show. Nice to see you back. Also, good morning to Kessler, Mike Savage, Blarg, Aloysius Fudpucker, Brutus. That's I know you've been here. It's nice to see you here. I just like to see you in the chat. Also, good morning to Sean DW175, aka just Sean, who reminded me there's no sound, and for some reason my Streamlabs OBS keeps resetting, and it resets the sound off. Anyway, also good morning to did I say hi to Kessler? Yes, I did. No, I didn't. Good morning, Kessler. Good morning, Amy in Connecticut. Straight Sith Mail, no room for squares. Becca Fairley, hello, my darling. Good morning to Hey Larry, what's up? Also, who else is Chi-Town J? What's happening? Slapper360, welcome back. Zero the Hero, awesome. Good, nice to see you. Welcome to old age. You know, I started getting those AARP, whatever, AARP notices, when I turned like 49, and I'm like, holy shit, I'm not even that old yet. And so now here we are a few years later. Hello, Chicago Mike, what's up? A few years later, and I'm going, oh, so this condo that we just sold, that was my father-in-law's, you couldn't live in there if you're under 55. It's a 55 and older condo complex, and we couldn't live in there. And by the time we're old enough to live in it, now we've sold it. Anyway, so that's that. So let's get to it. Now, there is some breaking news. It's supposed to happen today. It says someone very important is supposedly getting pardoned today. Apparently, this is just so we'll have to watch out for this today. I can't wait to see. I can't wait to see who it is. If it's going to cause heads to just completely explode, or is it just someone that, is he going to pardon Roger Stone, or is he going to, or Michael Flynn, or President Obama? That would be hilarious. Good morning, Selected Boy. And that didn't work. What the hell's going on here? It'll work eventually. Anyway, you're going to hear it at some random time, and I'm not going to be able to control it. Good morning, Selected Boy. How you doing? So President Donald Trump is reportedly planning to pardon someone today. This article says tomorrow, that he said was very, see, I told you, that was very, very important. But it won't be one major name that has been in the news recently. The news comes as speculation has swirled that Trump would pardon former National Security agent contractor Edward Snowden, who leaked classified documents that damaged U.S. national security. On the flight back from Wisconsin, President Trump told a press pool he would be issuing a pardon on Tuesday to someone very, very important, but said it was not Michael Flynn or Edward Snowden. CBS News correspondent Mark Knoller tweeted, "Might see it as a way to detract attention from Democratic convention speeches slamming him." Well, that's an interesting way to look at it. Good morning, Pissed Off Shih Tzu. Good morning, Richo, my friend from Down Under. Good morning, Tarai Deos. Multiple days in a row. Nice to see you. Mark Knoller said on the flight back from Wisconsin, President Trump told a press pool he would be issuing a pardon on Tuesday to someone very, very important, but said it was not Michael Flynn or Edward Snowden. Might see it as a way to detract attention from the Democratic convention speeches slamming him. Yeah, they've been slamming him mostly, half-truths and lots of just straight-out lies, and also just things that you go, huh? Things that make you go, things that make you go, things that make you go, Also, good morning, Aaron Meredith. Good morning, Kevin S. People rolling in like crazy. I like to see it. The possibility of pardoning Snowden comes after Trump was asked by a reporter last week, "Do you want to give Edward Snowden a pardon and bring him back?" "Well, I'm going to look at it," Trump responded. "I mean, I'm not that aware of the Snowden situation, but I'm going to start looking at it. There are many, many people. Seems to be a split decision. There are many people think that he should be somehow treated differently, and other people think he did very bad things, and I'm going to take a very good look at it. I mean, I've seen people that are very conservative and very liberal, and they agree on the same issue. They agree both ways. I'm going to take a look at it very strongly," the president's favorite word, "and as far as Edward Snowden, I'm not sure. The jury's out on that one in my head. I can't decide if Snowden would deserve a pardon or if he deserves a court-martial. But either way, Snowden leaked classified information about the U.S. government's efforts to collect and store all telephone metadata because of the Patriot Act. And not a fan of that. Fourth Amendment. Bloomberg columnist Eli Lake highlighted the problem with pardoning Snowden. The problem, though, is Snowden also stole and disclosed far more than that. In June 2013, while in Hong Kong, he shared with the South China Morning Post documents that identified the exact machines that NSA was hacking in China and Hong Kong, along with details of whether they were still monitored and how they were attacked. This did not advance American civil liberties. Rather, it exposed U.S. efforts to monitor cyber threats of a hostile power. Another problem is that even though the U.S. government has conducted a damage assessment of Snowden's theft of state secrets and disclosures, there is still much it doesn't know. The reason for that is that Snowden devised a program to scrape the classified computer networks he was administering as a contractor for the NSA in Hawaii. The U.S. government knows the files that Snowden's program probed, but it does not know which ones he stole. But apparently it's not going to be Snowden, so I don't know why they went into that much detail about him. But there you go. Let's see here. Court-martial. Tarai says court-martial. Yeah, I'm curious what you guys think about that one, as far as Edward Snowden. Something else the president did yesterday. He, this trip that we're talking about, he actually went to Minneapolis and Wisconsin. And while in Minneapolis, he met with some business owners that were affected by the riots. And here's a Breitbart article on that. Donald Trump meets Minnesota business owners affected by riots. Who's Snowden? Somebody in chat tell 360 or Slapper who Snowden is. President, unless did I say that wrong? Did I say Swoden? I meant Snowden. Anyway, President Donald Trump with Minneapolis business owners affected by the destructive riots in the name of George Floyd. The president criticized former... Sorry. Sorry about that. I probably should take a... Here, hang on. Let's just stop for a second. By the way, I do have my cup of reparations coffee with me in the 2020 FFS cup. It's hard to see because of the light shining on it. If you'd like one of those, go to pdognight.live and click the merch link. There's our sip of the day. And maybe I'll be able to talk for the rest of the show. Good morning also to Makino programmer, Renee Mayette, Jonas Pedersen. Nice to see you at the show. Glad you're here. All right. The president criticized former Vice President Joe Biden's running mate, Senator Kamala Harris, for asking for donations to help bail out the rioters who had been arrested for violence and looting. Their sympathies lie with lawbreakers and criminals. My heart is with law-abiding, hardworking Americans like these people, Trump said. And my heart is also with the great men and women of law enforcement. The president tore into local Democrats for failing business owners by allowing riots and looting to continue in the city in the name of George Floyd. Hello, Sapphire Dragon. While the city's liberal mayor refused to defend its citizens, which was incredible, their lives were destroyed while the leadership of the Democrats cheered. Their dreams burned to the ground, Trump said. Minneapolis firefighter Corby Bala and his wife told the story of how they spent their life savings to open a sports bar before it was destroyed by the rioters. Bala said he was working to rebuild the bar and was currently working to get financing to purchase a building for $1.3 million. Trump suggested that it might be possible for Bala to get government assistance and asked for the name of the bar. And then he told, I watched the interview. He said the bikers will probably be there even before you open the bar to help you out because that's how Americans help each other out. And then he also talked to a guy named Jim Stage of Lloyd's Pharmacy, a pharmacy in St. Paul that had been there for over 100 years. And Stage had he had purchased it several years ago and was maintaining it kind of in its original form. And they burned his building down too. So a lot of bad things happened during that. But I'm not going to read the whole article here. Anyway, good morning to MC and Katie did skate. Howdy, howdy, howdy. All right, I'm going to remember the do the shill for once because I always forget, and I'm getting close, man. I'm getting close to that 1,000 subscribers, but I just got to get over the hump, man. I'm up to 836. So I need 164 more subscribers. So it's very important. It helps me out a lot if you guys share the stream. Please share the stream on social media. You can follow me on Twitter, Minds, Gab, or Parler. And if you depending on which one you're on, and repost, retweet, republish, or echo the notifications I send out. Now, I'm very active on Twitter, not on the other ones so much, although I occasionally post on Parler too. But that really helps. And also down here, somewhere down there, I think it's more like down there, the share arrow is important too. I didn't realize this until a couple days ago when I was looking at my analytics, that of the viewers that come here from other social media, most come from Twitter, but a whole bunch come from Facebook too. And I don't post anything on Facebook regarding this show. So one of you is doing it and it's helping. So I really appreciate whoever's doing that. Also, make sure you hit the like button if you like what we do. Sometime during the show, I'll remind you at the end. And then also, if you want to participate in the show and also make contributions to the effort here, you can do that through the Super Chats, which is in the description down below. Or you could just go to the pdognight.live website. It's up in the right-hand corner where you could do Super Chats. And all the donations go to the show, and I've pretty much been using it to improve production and just for the effort. It's not. It's kind of time consuming, and I like doing it, and I appreciate everyone who's able to do super chats and donations. That's great. If you can't, that's great too. The show is always going to be free, and sometimes just participating in the chat makes it more fun for everybody. So keep doing that, and that really helps out the show. All right, let's go. Moving on. So we did that one. I'm going to get to the Democratic National Convention pretty soon here, but interesting bit of commentary that I found yesterday regarding the criminal charge against Kevin Clinesmith that he will be pleading guilty to, a felony, a member of the, and I love this sentence, a member of the Mueller special counsel team pled guilty to altering documents to get a FISA warrant on an American citizen. Those words, you would think that sentence, just that, would garner tons of news coverage, right? You would think that, right? And yet, someone was doing a kind of a survey, a screening of all the networks. ABC, CBS, and I think NBC, 0 seconds. MSNBC, 0 seconds. CNN, 22 seconds dedicated to that story. And then, what's another one? I think it was, I think Fox News talked about it. But yeah, almost zero mention of that. And it's amazing. I don't get it. That is a member of the special counsel team that was investigating Donald Trump and his campaign for the Russian collusion investigation. A member of that team pled guilty to falsifying documents to a FISA court and is pleading guilty to that felony, which allowed the FISA court to spy or get a FISA warrant to spy on a U.S. American citizen. That should be one of the biggest scandals ever, right? And you haven't heard much about it. Well, if you're familiar with Andrew Weissman kind of, well, here's a story. Mueller veteran Andrew Weissman, who was basically, Andrew Weissman was the true head of Mueller's team. Mueller was kind of just a figurehead, but Weissman was the de facto leader and did everything. So apparently he self-incriminates himself with some tweets after they announced that Clinesmith's going to plead guilty. After the Department of Justice levied a criminal charge against Kevin Clinesmith for doctoring a June 17th email from the CIA to obtain a warrant to spy on Trump campaign figure Carter Page, Clinesmith's attorney suggested his client could implicate co-conspirators who knew of the deception. The charging documents also revealed that the CIA gave the FBI an August 2016 memo indicating that Page wasn't a spy for the Russians against the United States. He was a source for the CIA against the Russians. Good morning, Midnight in Exile. Now, had the court known this, it would have undercut the two constitutional requirements of the FISA warrant: that the Justice Department had a probable cause that Page was illegally spying, and that there was no less intrusive way to investigate other than invading Page's privacy. Was Andrew Weissman involved in deceiving the FISA court? While many suspected he was, the former Justice Department attorney would have been well advised not to confirm those suspicions, right? He had a right to remain silent. Silence! But fortunately, actually, for those interested in the rule of law, he's decided instead to incriminate himself in full public view. On Friday, Weissman put out a series of tweets that must have delighted the prosecutors investigating the conspiracy to defraud the court. Instead of expressing shock and outrage that an FBI attorney falsified evidence incredibly, Weissman argued that the fraud was not material. These tweets seem to confirm that Weissman not only is defending Kleinsmith's actions, but also his own. Weissman, question for Barr. The former lead attorney of the Mueller special counsel probe tweeted, "How are Flynn's confessed lies to the FBI, repeated to the vice president, not a crime, but Kleinsmith changing an email, the full version of which he also sent to the DOJ, is?" Then he added, "Questions judge should ask before accepting Kleinsmith's guilty plea. What precisely is the falsity of the statement that Kleinsmith made? What investigation was it material to? He gave DOJ accurate information for the Page FISA. How does Barr materially stand for Flynn apply? Standard. How does Barr materially standard for Flynn apply?" He then tweeted whether Page was a source for the CIA or not, material to the Page FISA. These tweets present a strong circumstantial evidence that Kleinsmith showed Weissman both versions of the June 2017 email. The original one sent by the CIA and the one that Kleinsmith doctored to fool the FISA court into extending the Page warrant. Now imagine this, and I'm going off script here. Good morning, Jaeger Pony. I'm going off script here, but if Weissman knew about both of those while he was one of the lead investigators on the Mueller team, that might be a problem. Let's see. Further, the tweet suggested that Weissman may have known since August 2016, before the first Carter Page warrant was issued, that the entire FISA spying operation on Page was unnecessary and therefore illegal. Page knew that insiders within the intelligence community and the FBI were smearing him with rumors that he was working as a Russian spy. So before the first FISA warrant was issued in October 2016, he wrote a letter to FBI Director James Comey offering to sit for an interview to clear up any questions about his activities. The FBI ignored his offer, and Comey nevertheless certified to the FISA court that intrusive spying was the only way to obtain the information needed. It was a lie. You are not the father. Oh, you are the father. How did that get there? It was a lie. So Comey was lying to the court too. Before we turn to Weissman's tweets, it's important to review his role in the early stages of the Russia collusion hoax. In January 2015, the Justice Department appointed Weissman to head the Criminal Division's fraud section. As attorney Sidney Powell noted at the time, Weissman had a troubling history of allegations of suppressing evidence and seeking convictions for non-crimes, like against Arthur Anderson, that the Supreme Court overturned 9-0. A 9-0 Supreme Court decision against anybody for anything is pretty rare. In August 2016, Justice Department Attorney Bruce Orr briefed Weissman, Bruce Schwartz, and Zainab Ahmad on the Steele dossier. Weissman, Schwartz, and Zainab would not be assigned to support Mueller until the following year, raising the question as to why they would be involved in the case at this stage. As Fox News reported, during his testimony, Orr said he stressed during the 2016 meetings, many of which took place before the Page surveillance warrant was obtained, the potential bias and conflicts associated with Steele and the dossier, which was commissioned by the Democratic National Committee and the Clinton campaign, and handled by opposition research firm Fusion GPS. Why would Weissman, the head of an unrelated fraud section, be interested in biased research against the candidate Donald Trump? One clue might be a support for Trump's opponent. Just a few short months later, Weissman attended the Clinton election night party. Oh, too bad, so sad. Intended to be a victory celebration. which brings us back to Weissman's tweets. Kleinsmith is charged with deceiving the FBI official who filed a sworn statement before the court. Incredibly, Weissman is arguing that Kleinsmith shouldn't be found guilty of a crime because he told some members of the Justice Department. Well, he lied to the court, dumbass. Here's the Justice Department and the court are two different things. That's ridiculous. The whole purpose of doctoring the email was to deceive the FISA court. It is a very serious deception because it undermines the constitutional function of the court. That's exactly what the court said in those two places that they have links to about Kleinsmith's doctored email, among other deceptions. So anyway, so Weissman's arguing that, well, he gave false information to the court, but he told the Justice Department that should be okay, right? It's okay if you lie to the court as long as you tell somebody. What a dickhead. Anyway, that's the meat and potatoes of that one. All right, I know that most of you here are wondering if I was going to ever mention the Democratic National Convention, the Democratic National Livestream. Are there people watching that? If you watched any of that last night, put a 1 in the chat, or any number in the chat. I don't care, but just put a number in the chat if you're watching the Democratic National Convention. Democratic National Livestream. Anybody watching it? Because I have watched clips. I didn't watch it live. How is Weissman not in jail? I don't know. I think he might be on the list, though, because that's just the first indictment, right? The first indictment. Hello, Gunfox. Hello, Attack Alpaca. What's happening, y'all? And Tyler F. How you doing? Did I say Attack? I don't know if I said that. Anyway, anyone watching the convention? It's like I'm watching clips and I can't do it. I every time I go to watch one of them, I'm like, oh, this is tedious. It is so tedious. But apparently it's a hit with nobody. DNC convention brutally mocked online. One of the worst things that's ever been on television. The Democratic National Convention was brutally mocked online. On Monday night, during the event's opening night, as many commentators panned it as boring, cringeworthy, and obscene. Former Democratic presidential candidate Marianne Williamson wrote, I wanted to like it. I really wanted to. I really did. I promise I did. That was her tweet right there. Left-wing political commentator Timothy Burke wrote, I don't think the broadcast networks were prepared for convention programming that didn't have 10-minute breaks between each appearances. They're all doing analysis nobody wants. So that's hilarious. Progressive David Pakman wrote, David Pakman, oh my gosh, I forgot he existed. You know, it's weird because I watch HB a lot and he hasn't done a whole lot of Pakman videos lately, but I've missed a little bit of HB anyway. Progressive David Pakman wrote, someone please talk me off the ledge. I want to win, and the first 22 minutes of this DNC, I'm scared. Can someone tell me how great this is or something? Washington Post columnist Josh Rogan tweeted, the cheesy videos that used to be the space fillers in the convention have become the convention. And New York Times reporter Osted Herden wrote, not a policy in sight. Just vibes. And then so on and so on. You know what? I could go through this, but it's kind of boring just to even talk about how boring the convention was. I'll put that article in the chat if you want to read some of the other reactions. But there is something else funny about it, and I didn't even notice this because I was seeing clips and I wasn't seeing the actual live stream on the Democrats' YouTube channel. Apparently, the Democratic Party forgot to turn off the comments on its own convention. Let me put this on there. You can see it better. There we go. They forgot to turn off the comment section of its live stream. This should be interesting. I didn't see this. The Democratic Party had live comments turned on their live stream of the Democratic National Convention for a portion of the program, leading viewers to comment freely as the event proceeded on the first night of the convention. Comments during New York Governor Andrew Cuomo's speech at the convention showed the rapid pace of comments from people trolling the live stream. Let's see here. Let's see if they got a clip here. Yeah, let's watch this real quick. Here, let's get this off my screen here. Here, let's watch this 41 seconds. You can see the... okay. Oh, the hell went there? Oh, did I hit pause? No, I didn't. Okay. Okay, that's... This is not Boomer Vision. This is Marty's Internet Vision. I'll just pause that. We'll go on. Teleprompter National Convention. One commenter wrote, let's see, Americans for Trump. Let's look at some of these. Some of the chat here in this right here. Someone here says Kanye West 2020. BH for 2020. Oh, Trump, thank God. I don't know what BH stands for here. Leslie, someone put Milo here. Someone put she's a traitor. Trump 2020. Dude looks like a lady. Teleprompter National Convention. Here comes the alphabet people. Okay, didn't need it. Okay. Anyway, here's some more here. Trump lies not stop and is crazy because of it. Civil War II, 500 electoral vote landslide victory. Don't wear a mask. Fauci said it's actually gay. The comments were disabled midway through the live stream. A separate channel dedicated to the convention had comments turned off from the start and had more viewers than the party's channel. The convention's online format was adopted in response to the ongoing coronavirus pandemic, blah, 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 blah. HB 2020. Yeah, we could do that too. Marty needs better internet. I have great internet. I think it's my processor. I'm actually going to purchase a new processor for my computer, probably an i9, and do some configuration things on my computer so that it's a little more efficient. I run a lot of stuff through my my video card, or my video, whatever you call it, GPU, and I probably need to rearrange how I process things on here. Anyway, so the one person that really annoyed the shit out of me the most during that convention was Andrew Cuomo. And they have, let's see, what did I do with that? I thought I had here we go. Let's talk about the angel of death, Andrew Cuomo. During his speech, which was very annoying because it was just basically bullshit the whole way through. One, he referred to the European virus. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo on Monday referred to the China-born coronavirus as the European virus, as if he didn't know that the virus traveled into New York via Europe from China. And in fact, the first cases in New York were almost directly linked from China, as were the ones in Washington and Chicago and California. But I'm guessing because there were a lot of people in Europe who were getting the virus, and lots of people from Europe travel to and fro from New York City, I'm sure that was part of it too. So some people were, they had some tracing, and they thought, oh, that's a lot of the people who got it in New York got it through Europe, right? And I was saying this a long time ago. Remember we were talking about the first couple weeks of February where they were shutting down travel from China. But early in February, it was Fashion Week in New York, right? And think about all the cases they were having in northern Italy, also, which is where Milan is. And think of all the people that were coming in and out of New York for Fashion Week. They had 200,000 visitors. And not only that, but also New York's Chinese New Year celebration was in February. So they had people traveling from all over the place. And I said, if they first said something about it being from Europe, the first thing to pop into my mind was, Fashion Week. Lots of people from Europe were coming to New York from Fashion Week. So anyway, He referred to it as the European virus. The European virus infected the Northeast while the White House was still fixated on China. Well, because that's where all the cases were from. That's where they found it. That's where they discovered it. And there was no travel restrictions from China to, as particularly Wuhan to northern Italy. They're daily direct flights because of all the people working in the fashion industry from China in northern Italy. So anyway, while the coronavirus spread from China to the rest of the world earlier this year, the Chinese government launched a propaganda campaign to obscure its origins and even accused U.S. servicemen of bringing the virus into the country. Democrats have pushed back on the Trump administration's attempt to pin responsibility on China, arguing that it was racist to refer to the novel disease as the China virus. In his remark, Cuomo blamed the Trump administration for its failure to anticipate the pandemic's magnitude. I don't know how you do that. Look, let me just throw out a figure here. So a lot of the Democrats are liking to comparing this to the Ebola issue and H1N1. Now, if you remember, how many people, is it like 5 million in the United States have had this or have had this particular virus, or 6 billion, whatever? Our death rate's lower than most of the countries in Europe, but at least the major ones: Spain, Italy, France, Belgium. Germany's rate's lower, Netherlands rate's lower. But anyway, there's several countries in Europe that have a higher death rate. According to this, we just have so many more people. We have so many more cases. But so there's like 5-6 million cases, right? And we've had 170,000 deaths. Well, do you realize H1N1, 60 million people contracted H1N1 back during, I think it was 2000, it was during the Obama administration, whenever that was. 60 million people got it. It just wasn't as deadly a flu. We're not, so it's not like it was a great success. It just wasn't as bad as they expected it to be. 60 million people got it. So, but again, it wasn't deadly. This one is deadly to elderly people. So what are you going to do? 2009. Thank you, Select Boy. Anyway, some critics have faulted Cuomo for New York's death toll. Oh, really? At least 11,000 now. So they figured out, I think the CDC has been figuring out, they originally said it was like 6,000 people that went to nursing homes, and 6,000 people died because of his actions of sending people to nursing homes, but they weren't counting the people that got the disease in nursing homes and were sent to hospitals and died at the hospital. So now the CDC that says that number is around 11,000, which is a full third of all the deaths in New York State, are a direct result of Cuomo's policy of putting people with the disease in nursing homes. But in his remarks, Cuomo blamed the Trump administration for its failure to anticipate the pandemic's magnitude. But like the Trump administration, the governor himself downplayed the threat of the virus as it was beginning to spread across the United States, telling the New Yorkers in early March that it was a manageable situation, quote unquote, and it didn't, quote, merit the hysteria, unquote. Weeks later, his state became the center of the U.S. outbreak. Some critics have faulted Cuomo for New York's... Oh, that's the same article. That's the same one. Okay, so some critics have faulted Cuomo for New York's death toll, which is the highest of any state in the country. And second, per capita, by far. Big news today is there's 10,000 deaths in Texas. Texas actually has a larger population than New York, I think, isn't it? No, it doesn't. Or does it? I can't remember, but 10,000 deaths compared to 33,000 deaths in New York. So they're comparably size-wise. And also, per capita, Texas has 1/5 the number of deaths per capita as New York State. I think that's right. I got to look that up again. At one point it was 1/16. per capita, but it's way lower. Okay. They keep throwing out these numbers. Well, 10,000. Well, 33,000 have died in New York. Now let's compare per capita, right? It's not the first time that Cuomo's pinned the virus on Europe. He said in May that the virus came from Europe rather than China. No, it came from China through Europe to your great state. Quote, we were told about the China virus. The virus came from Europe, Cuomo told MSNBC. We were all looking west, and the virus came from the east. Nobody talked about the virus coming from Europe. It came through Europe, moron. Anyway, let's see. How long is this clip? Let's see how long this clip is. 20 seconds. Here it is with him saying that. Maybe. Okay. Well, it's not going to work. Fuck it. We're closing the window. Forget that shit. All right. Moving on. What else do we want to talk about the convention? Michelle Obama offered a pretty gloom and doom, the world's going to die speech. Here, we can look at that article from Breitbart. Of course, it's a Breitbart article, so it's very biased, but I still am going to show it out, right? Oh, so there are 29.9 million people in Texas. Okay, yeah, so their per capita death rates is exponentially higher in New York. Michelle Obama offers a gloomy convention speech. You know I hate politics, right? Well, yeah, you know what? I actually believe that. I actually believe that Michelle Obama hates politics. I think one of the reasons that she is adamant about not being the vice presidential candidate, which I think would be frightening for the right if Michelle Obama put on the ticket, just because of her popularity among the left. It might, because I'm telling you what, Kamala Harris ain't exciting nobody, right? And that's a double negative, but you know what I meant. Well, former First Lady Michelle Obama delivered a gloomy pre-taped speech at the Democratic National Convention on Monday. The other thing, too, are any of these speeches actually live? I'm trying to, well, maybe Cuomo's was. You know what's funny? Joe Biden is going to have this, acceptance speech on Thursday. And I got to wonder if it's going to be live or if it's going to be pre-taped, because he's not going to be at the convention. And are they going to pre-tape it so they can, avoid any kind of gaffes or mix-ups? I'm just curious, because Michelle Obama's speech was pre-taped, right? Anyway, First Lady Michelle Obama delivered a gloomy pre-taped speech at the Democratic National Convention on Monday, lamenting the state of the country under President Donald Trump. You know, I hate politics, but you also know I care about this nation. I'm sorry. Isn't she the one who said, I've never been proud of this country before today, meaning when her husband was elected president? I'm pretty sure she said stuff like that more than once. Anyway, Obama began her speech with a serious tone, focusing on the coronavirus pandemic and the jaded feeling in the country about politics. It's a hard time and everyone's feeling it different ways, she began, acknowledging that it was hard to tune into a political convention right now, or politics in general. Obama also claimed that because she was a black woman, some people would automatically discount her message and her endorsement of Biden. Why? 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 You're Michelle Obama. You're the former First Lady. No one's discounting your... No one's discounting anything because you're a black woman. That's just victim complex. She went to Princeton. She's... oh, my God. Oh, they're worth like $100 million. And she's the former First Lady. She was in the White House for 8 years. Good God. Now, I understand that my message won't be heard by some people. Yeah, people who don't want to listen to your ass, she said. We live in a nation that's deeply divided, and I am a black woman speaking at a Democratic convention. That's so rare these last 30 years that no black women speak at the Democratic convention. Boy, they're not going to listen to a black woman. No, the people who aren't going to listen to you are people who don't want to hear from Michelle Obama. Anyway, Obama also spoke of the pain of watching President Donald Trump winning in 2016 despite losing the popular vote. Well, we don't elect our presidents by the popular vote, so there. Knowing that so many Democrats in key battleground states did not vote, she said, Donald Trump is the wrong president for our country. He has had more than enough time to prove that he can do the job, but he is clearly in over his head. He cannot meet this moment. He simply cannot be who we need him to be for us. It is what it is. So are the rioters looting and breaking shit. It is what it is. Obama pointedly noted that she loved her country. With all my heart, she said, but she said that Americans continue to struggle with injustice, racism, and pain. Well, because you constantly stoke it. Not necessarily you, Michelle Obama, but the media sure loves to point out any discrepancies. Which, you know what? Look, the actual racist things that happen in this country, although albeit extremely rare, happen, and they are extremely rare. Now, you're trying to say, some of these people are trying to say systemic racism. Well, tell me the system that it is. Tell me what it is. Be specific, not the outcomes, because outcomes happen because of people's actions. But what is the system that is racist? Other than having expectations of everybody equally. And for some reason, we've told a certain segment of our country that it doesn't matter because you're never going to amount to shit anyway. And also because there are people out there who are just going to hold you down and you're never going to get a chance. Well, you know, people who are told that enough begin to believe it, and then they don't do shit about it. Or they believe it and just say, well, fuck it, I'm just going to fuck shit up. And that's what they do. And not just other people's shit, their own shit. Okay? They stop going to school, or they don't think it matters if I learn how to read or talk in a way that other people can understand you, or that in a way that can convey a message. Or they just say, fuck it, I'm not going to, I don't need this. You know, I can just do what that person over there is and live off of whatever I can get for free. Now, I'm not talking about black people right now. I'm talking about anybody who has that attitude. It's not exclusive to a race, although, unfortunately, we tell black kids that way more. This whole Black Lives Matter thing is telling them that that person over there, just because he wears a uniform, wants to kill you. And he's killing people who look like you every day. And yet, I guess I'm on a rant, aren't I? I should probably turn this off the screen. And yet, no one can actually show you the evidence, so they bring up the same names over and over and over, making you think that this is a big parade of people who've been murdered just because the police wanted to murder them. Whereas even some of the names they could name over and over were a major contributor to their own demise. Michael Brown, Trayvon Martin, who wasn't killed by a cop, by the way. But how many interactions between cops and... let's take the guy who shot the kid in the head the other day. Went up and murdered a 5-year-old riding his bicycle right in front of everybody, in front of his sister and his brother and other kids. Just walked out and put a gun to the kid's head and shot him. Isn't it fascinating that black man was arrested by police and is in custody? He's not dead. He wasn't shot in the streets. He wasn't murdered by police officers. They arrested him. How does that happen? I thought police were supposed to be killing black people every time. Because they like to bring up, oh, well, they got Dylan Roof and they got him without killing him, and they even got a Burger King. Motherfucker, they fed the kid because that's what they do. They also got the DC sniper kid without shooting him. But no, they're just out here. They're just out here hunting black people in the streets. Really, during all of this, all these protests that have been going on around the country, and especially in Portland, and Louisville, and Chicago, whatever. Have we heard of any more police killing unarmed black men? Have you heard of any? Because it's supposed to be happening every day. And apparently they're killing the peaceful protesters in the streets, because they keep saying that too. How many of those protesters have been murdered by the police in the streets? The peaceful ones, right? They're out here brutalizing peaceful protesters. Really? Where? Peaceful protesters. Now, they did the one time in DC, and apparently it was part of a plan that they were already going to widen the perimeter anyway. Although, because of the timing, they said it was for a photo op for the president. But either way, they told the people that we needed to move back. They were changing the perimeter. Then they asked them again. They were going to ask them to move back. They're changing the perimeter. They asked them again. They want them to move back because they're changing the perimeter. Then some rocks and bottles started getting thrown at them. So they said, fuck it. We're moving the perimeter, whether you like it or not. We're moving your ass back. That's the only example I can even think of. Because the deal in Portland, with the protests, they said the feds were out there snatching people off the street. Just peaceful protesters. Didn't do nothings, right? And I'm talking about, these are, again, we're in Where's Waldo land when you're out in Portland. Finding a black person in those protests is like finding, playing Where's Waldo, right? It was the white kids they were arresting out there. The ones trying to burn down the federal courthouse and federal building, right? I'm just saying, it's just, it's amazing that, here's what I wonder. Here's what I really wonder. So clearly the Democrats and the mainstream media, I know that's redundant, downplay all of those things. But I'm beginning to wonder, are people in the country who are not news junkies like me, or the people that I hang out with on the internet, I'm really curious as to what they're seeing. I had a guy come over here the other day. In fact, it interrupted my stream because I had to go pay him, because we had some problems with our driveway. Part of it was like sinking, so we had to have it jacked up, and then also around the edge of some cement we have in the back. And I was talking to him, and I was telling him, this was before the stream, and I was talking to him, and it was, I was saying, I had to get downstairs to stream, and he asked me, well, what do you do? What do you mean I said, I just live stream talking about politics and current events. So he started asking me questions. Oh yeah, what do you think about this? What are you thinking about that? And we talked about Portland. He's like, yeah, that's crazy out there. I was watching this on I don't know what he was watching on. He was online, he said. And I said, yeah, I mean, do people actually see this? And I wonder how the country is actually seeing this. Because, in one of the latest polls, it seemed like the polls are swinging pretty crazily towards Trump. It was a CNN poll that said that, his approval rating had gone up. And in fact, what was it? It was It was battleground state projections. where Trump is roaring back in a lot of these battleground states. And I think the battleground states is Ohio, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, even Minnesota now. And that's got to be because they're starting to see what these morons are doing out in Portland and what they're doing. Even the other day, we did the story on that guy running for state representative in Minnesota. He's out in Hugo, 30 miles north of the Twin Cities in some suburb, and they're screaming and yelling at the in the neighborhood where the Minneapolis Police Association president lives, and they're out at his house in Hugo, Minnesota, screaming on microphones, the KKK, and you're that, you didn't care about the shit burning down in Minneapolis, and we're gonna burn down Hugo, fuck Hugo, Minnesota. How many people are seeing that? And they're like, we're gonna go to Duluth, we're gonna go to Hibbing, and we're gonna go to these places, Brainerd, blah blah blah. We're gonna be in every one of your towns, screaming and yelling at you. I'm pretty sure that the people of those towns, and look, Duluth, a lot of those northern towns used to be totally Democrat towns. And now, I can't imagine people are seeing that, and those towns are like, y'all can stay the fuck away from here. And we're not voting for this shit no more. And I noticed that when I was up in northern Minnesota for the 4th of July. The boat parade, they have the boat parade around one of the big lakes there. And so we're watching the boat parade. And every other boat, practically, every other boat up there of the people going around for the boat parade were flying Trump flags, Trump 2020 flags. And I'm like, God, because I live in the city, so I see an occasional political sign, but nothing like when Obama was running. I mean, Obama's running, you drive through Minneapolis or St. Paul, through the neighborhoods, and every fucking house had an Obama sign, right? Not seeing that this year. I'm not seeing. I see a few Biden signs. The Buy Don, BYEDON. As in by Donald. This is one of the very few clever signs they have. See a few of those in some of the Minneapolis neighborhoods or some of the near early ring suburbs. But I don't see them. And people don't put Trump signs out because they don't want to be vandalized. But you go up in northern Minnesota, lakes areas where people live up in those areas, a lot of Trump signs out there. A lot of people flying Trump flags on their boats and in the small towns and the places where they don't give a shit about wearing masks. And that's unusual because Minnesota used to be pretty solid blue from north to south. And I'm not seeing it. And could Minnesota be in play? I got an article about that coming up. In fact, let's go to that one because it's an interesting article that I found. Anyway, Michelle Obama's speech is doom and gloom. All of their speeches. If you want an analysis on the speeches, I might do on the speeches from the Democratic National Convention. There's lots of people doing them. Check Ranting. I'm sure HB is doing them. Ranting Monkey's doing them. There's people on the internet doing them. I may or may not do a video about it. I don't know. But so this was interesting because this is from Real Clear Politics. And it's an article about why Minnesota has been slow to realign because a lot of the states around us have, changed their voting habits. Iowa, Wisconsin, a lot of the upper Midwest, Michigan. So the 2016 election results were surprising for a number of reasons, but perhaps the most surprising was the outcome in Minnesota. The state, which Republican presidential candidates have not carried since 1972, swung heavily toward Donald Trump. His 1.5 percentage loss represented the best showing for a Republican presidential candidate since Reagan narrowly missed carrying the state in 1984. Given this, we might have expected Minnesota to continue trending towards Republicans. The 2018 midterms were held in a very hostile environment for Republicans overall, yet the performance of Midwestern states was surprisingly respectable. They defeated a Democratic incumbent in Indiana, held the Iowa and Ohio governor's mansions, nearly held the Wisconsin governor's mansion, and put up surprisingly strong performances with unheralded candidates in the Michigan and Ohio Senate races. Minnesota did not follow this trend, however. Senator A.D. Klobuchar won re-election to the Senate by 24 points, while appointed Senator Tina Smith held her seat by 10. Democrat Tim Walz, pictured with the image of Klobuchar right there, won the Minnesota gubernatorial race by 11 points. Overall, Minnesota and Illinois were two Midwestern states that didn't even offer Republicans a silver lining on a bad election night. In 2020, the state once again seems to be lagging others in presidential polling. Before a recent poll for Emerson College showing a close 3-point presidential race, about which more later, the Real Clear Politics average had Joe Biden leading Trump in Minnesota by 9 points, compared to 6.7 in Michigan, 5.5 in Wisconsin, and 6.4 in Pennsylvania. You can see the overall trends over the past decade here, which is great. I'll put this one in the chat too, just FYI. Comb salad, right. This shows the partisan lean of the state. That is, how much more Republican or Democrat the state was than the country as a whole in a given election. If Donald Trump got 49% of the vote in a state, it had 1 point Republican lean, since he received about 48% of the vote nationally. As you can see, most of the states have swung precipitously towards Republicans in the last few cycles. This has been particularly pronounced in Iowa, Ohio, and Wisconsin. Illinois has continued to trend away from the GOP. Minnesota has moved toward Republicans, but it has been a much more gradual shift than those other states. Why is this the case? Well, to understand this, it may be useful to return to a series of articles by David Byler and I wrote in the wake of the 2016 election. In that series, we observed that American elections could increasingly be explained by a geographic component. Rural areas were increasingly becoming Republican, while America's megapolises were swinging toward Democrats. This explains the shift in the Great Lakes states. In the follow series of charts, they took a bunch of charts here based on the states. Here's the thing. In Minnesota, the Twin Cities dominates everything. And outstate Minnesota, even though it was also very liberal for the longest time. DFL, Democrat, Farmer, Labor Party, where we're not, if you're not in the cities, you're either farmer or you're labor in the mines in northern Minnesota. Is huge business out there. There's all kinds of things going on. In every state, rural and small towns have broken heavily against the Democratic Party. They're generally speaking, about 10 to 12% more Republicans than the country as a whole now. Note that this was not always the case. In most of our states, these areas were right in the middle back in 1988. Large towns have also trended towards Republicans, although there is more heterogeneity here, especially in Indiana. Small cities and large cities, on the other hand, have been fairly consistent over the past few decades, with the notable exception of Wisconsin, where Madison continues to trend leftward. The Chicago metropolitan area, the lone megacity in the region, has moved towards Democrats, except for the exurban sliver in Wisconsin. The point is, across all states in the region, the rural, town, city areas have been behaving in similar ways. So what does this tell us about why Republican performance in Minnesota have lagged? It has to do with the composition of the states. Recall, Illinois, which we observed moving away from Republicans, we noted that the megacity of Chicago was moving towards Democrats, with the rest of the state moving toward Republicans. But Chicago and various large cities in Illinois comprised 69% of the vote in the states. In Michigan, 55% of the vote was cast in the Detroit metro area, large city, with the remainder in small cities, towns, and rural areas. In a place like Michigan, the sharp Republican trend in those latter areas packs a lot more punch. Two Republican-leading states in the region, Indiana and Ohio, are even more rural, with big cities casting 48 to 51% of the state votes, respectively. In other words, the less punch big cities pack, the more Republican the state becomes. The exception is Wisconsin, where Metro Milwaukee packs relatively light electoral punch and just 32% of the state. Yet the state remains purple. But recall that Wisconsin also has the state where small cities were overwhelmingly Democratic. Because of Madison and its environs, Republicans don't reap the same electoral benefit from towns and cities that they do elsewhere in the region. Iowa stands an extreme case of this effect. It was the most Democratic state in the region in 1988, but by 2016 was one of the most heavily Republican. Its rural regions are not unusually Republican, and its small towns lean Republican, but they were the most heavily Democratic of our group in 2016. What distinguishes Iowa is the complete absence of a megacity or a large city. 26% of Iowa is located outside a metropolitan or micropolitan statistical area. So, where does Minnesota fit in this? It is the second most Democratic state in the region, nestled somewhere between Illinois and Wisconsin in terms of its politics. And as we might expect, big cities cast the second largest share of the vote of any state in the region. Minneapolis-St. Paul in 2016 cast about 63% of the vote in the state in 2016. In other words, Minnesota has been tough for Republicans to make gains because it is actually a particularly urban Midwestern state, dominated by a metro area. Without improving their appeal to big cities, Republicans are likely to find it difficult to make solid gains in the land of 10,000 lakes. Now, this brings me back to my commentary about the suburbs. I'm not going to go back to that article. You can read the rest. It's in the chat. Here's the problem now in Minnesota. I think the reason the George Floyd protests that turned into riots, and the fact that they're going out and starting to protest in the suburbs, is going to raise some eyebrows. Now, Minneapolis and St. Paul, yes, cast a lot of votes. But I think when they talk about Minneapolis and St. Paul, they talk about the entire metropolitan area, which includes about 5 rings of connected suburbs encircling the entire metro area. Well, not 5 rings. That's not to the east, but to the north and to the south and to the west. To the east, you pretty much just have Woodbury and Maplewood, if you're familiar with the Twin Cities at all. But the suburbs generally control Minnesota politics. Yes, the Twin Cities, with Minneapolis with 8. Actually, the city itself only has about 400,000 people. St. Paul has about 200,000 people. But the metropolitan area is about 3.2 million. Meaning that it's a lot of people in the suburbs voting. And as the farther rings you get out from the suburbs, the more likely it gets to be a toss-up whether or not those cities are going to go Republican or Democrat. I got a feeling that as you see if these protesters continue to pull their stuff in some of these suburbs, like they did in Hugo, Minnesota, which everyone in the state well, I don't watch local news that much, but I know that everyone in the state's seeing this. They're going to think, hell to the nizzo, right? Hell no, we're not having this shit here. Right? So it'll be interesting. I honestly believe that there may be a swing this year in our state. And if that happens, look out. Look out, baby. Look out. All right. I got a couple bookmarks because I have to give a Jussie update, and that's in my bookmarks. Before I do that, I want to thank a couple people as soon as my notification shows up. Thank you, Tyler F., the Jack Cochran, also the Chi-Town J, Becca Farley, and I accidentally clicked the wrong thing, so I lost what I was looking at here. Those of you who have been tweeting out the show, I greatly appreciate that. So, I got a Jussie update. Let me hear. Here it is. It's from the Chicago Sun-Times. And it's not necessarily Jussie directly. But, remember they had Kim Foxx, the the state's attorney in the case. They were kind of investigating her because they didn't really like how she handled this Jussie Smollett case. Thought there was some, I don't know, favoritism, abuse, whatever. Well, special prosecutor finds substantial abuses of discretion in the Jussie Smollett case as he concludes his investigation. Dan Webb did not find evidence to support filing criminal charges against Cook County State's Attorney Kim Foxx or any other prosecutor. However, Special Prosecutor Dan Fox laid out a series of operational failures and several false statements by Cook County State's Attorney Kim Foxx, as he announced on Monday the end of his investigation into the handling of hate crime claims by actor Jussie Smollett. Webb said Fox and her staff made false or misleading statements about her declared recusal from the case, about how the Smollett case compared to others in the court system, about the certainty of conviction for Smollett, and about her contacts with Smollett's sister, actor Journey Smollett. So she lied 4 times, about 4 things. But I guess it wasn't under oath, so I guess she's allowed to lie? Who knows? Anyway, but Webb also said that he did not find evidence that the case was improperly influenced by third parties such as Tina Chen, the one-time chief of staff to former First Lady Michelle Obama, nor did he find evidence that would support criminal charges. In a statement, Fox's office said Webb's announcement put to rest any implication of outside influence or criminal activity on the part of the Cook County State's Attorney's Office. She was a good girl. And it also denied that the false statements referenced in Webb's announcement were deliberately inaccurate. Oh, whatever. Anyway, and then they talk about Smollett's attorney. Oh, Mark Garagos said in a statement Monday, that's Smollett's attorney, this so-called report on Kim Foxx and the timing of the recharging of Jussie reveals the political electoral motivation of Dan Webb and his court host. Mark Garagos. If you're not familiar with Mark Garagos, he was on the O.J. Simpson trial, by the way. And he is a left-wing, he's a he's fine. He does a show with somebody. I can't remember who it does, a law show. But he's just, whatever. Garagos said it's a blatant attempt to take down a black progressive female prosecutor who's not fit within the white power structure. Jussie, a black gay man who maintains his innocence, continues to be used as a pawn. Y'all better stop that shit. Stop pretending Jussie did not do nothing wrong. Okay? Jussie Smollett lied his ass off. It's whatever. Anyway, let's see. Still, there are more shoes left potentially to drop. Webb said Monday he would seek permission as soon as possible from Cook County Judge Michael Tuman to release a 60-page report that supports his findings with evidence. He also said he intends to forward the report to Illinois Attorney Registration and Disciplinary Commission. Whew. And then his challenger in November's election, Fox's challenger, called on Fox to resign. Yeah, no, whatever. And then they just go into more of the Jussie Smollett story. So anyway, Kim Foxx lied her ass off, and she got called on it, even though it wasn't criminal lying, because, I don't know, maybe it was in front of a jury or whatever. Let's see here. I've got a couple more. Oh! So we've been talking a lot about the post office, this post office non-scandal, right? And somebody dug up, because Jake Tapper's been talking about it a lot, talking about how the post office did this, the post office did that. In fact, the post office has shed 250,000 employees over the last 20 years. They've been cutting people. And this was an article. What year was this article? This article was from 2015. Mike Cernovich found this one. This is from November 6, 2015. Look at this article. This is a shocker. This is shocking. From 2015, U.S. Postal Service has shed 250,000 employees in the past 20 years. Here's how. Way more cuts are expected in the next 2 years. They were cutting the post office during the Obama administration? What the hell is going on here? The U.S. Postal Service has used a variety of tools to shrink its workforce by nearly 30% in the last 20 years. In 2000, what's going on? What the hell was man? Anyway, so that's, and then, so Jake Tapper's been flapping his lips about it on his show. And we got a tweet from Jake Tapper. Check out this tweet from May 15th, 2014. Apparently, because they're talking about all the problems they have with the Postal Service. And it was pristine until Trump decided to meddle with the post office, right? Trump is in there taking over management, telling them to slow things down because we don't want these Democrats to vote, which was one of the themes last night at the Democratic National Livestream. Look at this tweet by Jake Tapper. Hey, U.S. Postal Service, who do I talk to there to try to solve a problem caused by your severe incompetence? Wait a minute. I thought the post office, the U.S. Postal Service was great. He says, even your phones aren't set up right. Okay? So someone retweeted this, and it's hilarious, some of the replies, because people retweeted this, and they're saying, yeah, it's because of coronavirus. We didn't have coronavirus in 2015. But what? What's the date on that? Damn you, Donald Trump. Wow, that's amazing. Trump sure has a lot of power. Even in 2014, the post office sucked. Now, one of the replies to this, and here it is. Then he goes, so the post office replies to him, right? Which is amazing that the U.S. Postal Service Twitter account replied to Jake Tapper. Oh, is that some white celebrity privilege or what? U.S. Postal Service says, hello, Jake Tapper. What is your inquiry regarding? And Jake Tapper replies, the package that was supposed to be delivered Saturday in time for Mother's Day. It arrived today. Why? When did you send it, Jake? And so someone here is like, I've had packages delivered late, both stuff I sent and the stuff I ordered. The short answer, COVID. Since more people are ordering online and having stuff shipped to their home, the post office is getting overwhelmed by the boxes. COVID? In 2014? And this guy who said that, he's like, oh yeah, I didn't see the date. He laughed about it. He thought it was hilarious. But all these people, there's a lot of people replying to this, not looking at the date going, yeah, Trump is actually trying to destroy the Postal Service so people can't vote. He's trying to disenfranchise black people who don't realize that all you got to do is put that thing in your mailbox and your postal carrier will take it. You don't need the big blue mailboxes. But anyway, that's hilarious. And also there's one of Oliver Darcy, too. You know who Oliver Darcy is from CNN? This is CNN. The jagoff that started the, what do you call it? The adpocalypse. He writes about... He writes nasty things about YouTubers he doesn't like, and then all the YouTube people see, Oliver Darcy wrote about us, and this doesn't look good, so we're going to suspend that person. In December 22nd, 2014, pro tip from Oliver Darcy, avoid the post office at all costs. Why? I thought they were so perfect and special. But anyway, and also Pete Buttigieg has been really critical too. Well, here's Pete Buttigieg, or Buttigieg. It's Buttigieg. So former South Bend, Indiana Mayor Pete Buttigieg did not always fear efforts to reform the post office, but I suppose anyone could flip on a dime depending on the politics of the situation. The money-hemorrhaging USPS announced significant structural changes recently, including the elimination of overtime for hundreds of thousands of postal employees and a mandate that says, as my Windows keeps filling up here. A mandate that says mail should be kept until the next day if distribution centers are running behind. These changes have led to frenzied cries from Democrats and their allies in the press, many of whom who allege that President Trump is attempting to steal the 2020 election by slowing or blocking mail-in ballots. On Monday, Buttigieg got in on the UPS conspiracy theory action, claiming the recent changes at the Postal Service represent a grave threat to our core democracy. Okay, that didn't work. Oh, it's going to do this thing to me again where it pops in like 3 minutes later. It'll pop in. It's funny because it was not too long ago that as a member of the private sector, Buttigieg was a part of the team of private consultants who advised the United States Postal Service in 2010 to implement significant structural changes. I lost okay, I knew that was going to do that. Oh well. Including dialing back its operations, reducing hours, switching to a non-unionized labor, and closing more than 130 processing plants. That was what Buttigieg was doing. But now that it's the official Democratic line that the Postal Service is beyond reproach, Buttigieg is shocked, I mean shocked, at the recent attempts to reform it. Democrats believe in America, the former mayor and failed 2020 Democratic primary candidate said Monday during an appearance on MSNBC. We believe in American democracy. We believe that our institutions should always be improved, but never be dismantled like what is happening right now. Again, with that dismantled bullshit. They clearly all got their talking points. Remember, Buttigieg is talking about the elimination of overtime for postal workers. If he considers that a dismantling the United States Postal Service, then that team of private consultants, of which he was a member, positively sought to annihilate it altogether when they were brought on to help find new ways to avoid posting billion-dollar losses. So anyway, this is Buttigieg talking out of his ass. Let's see. I got a few more minutes. What else did I have bookmarked here? Or should we just see what's happening in the world? I want you to see this video. And this is what I saved for today because this should make you proud. This should make you proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the man who died. Dave gave that right to me, and I'll gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. Not in my key, obviously. All right. So anyway, this is a heartwarming video, I think. This gentleman talking about. Oh, hang on. I'll pause it. I think this is a great message, and I don't know if I'm going to interrupt it at all. This was on Twitter, and I think it's worth seeing. And I'm gonna probably not going to interrupt it unless, well, maybe we'll see if I can get through it without interrupting it. But I think this is a great message about what we are as a country. No audio? God damn it. Stop resetting my settings, you motherfuckers. It annoys the shit out of me. All right, here we go.
Table. Look at our backgrounds. Just think that in 1961, as a 13-year-old by myself on my way to Spain. I wasn't even coming here. I arrived in this great country. And almost 60 years later, I'm sitting next to the President of the United States, talking about the American dream. The only country in the world, no other country in the world, that you can start a business from the trunk of your car. And within a very few years, with hard work, commitment, and all the core values that we learn from this very culture of ours, we can become very important to our future. We can become those people who make the next generation better than the one before. This is the only country. Why do you think you had to close the borders? Because everybody in the world wants to come over here. Nobody's ever forced to come over here. We come over here, in my case, because my parents chose that I would not be indoctrinated by the communist country, by the totalitarian country, by the totalitarian regime. They don't educate children. Absolutely not. And this is something that we need to understand. What is happening in our backyard today, I experienced as an 11-year-old. I remember vividly all the promises that a guy named Castro gave and how 99% of the people swallow the pill. It took many years later, after I read somebody named Saul Alinsky, that I realized that all those people were nothing but useful idiots. I remember Castro, while in the mountains, being interviewed and asked if he was a communist. He went crazy. I dare you, he says. Católico, apostólico, y romano. I'm a Roman Catholic. Educated by the Jesuits, he was. How dare you? We even have a priest in the mountains. We used to have priests in the mountains. I remember, I was the Marist brothers. Christopher Columbus here, for those of you know. And I remember the brothers, the Marist brothers, used to send young kids to the mountains because it was the second coming of our Lord. He was going to save Cuba. I remember how he promised to the farmers, to the Guajiros, that you're going to own the land. I remember all the promises that we hear today about free education and free health care and free land. And my God, no freedom. But he never said that until after he was in power, got rid of all the police, got rid of all the military, been there for the last 60 years and counting. And he destroyed each and every one who helped him. The Catholic Church. Everybody. And why do I know that? Because I happened to come to this country with the very last 9 cloister nuns from Convento Santa Clara, because he had taken over the convent. And I was on my way to Spain. I wasn't even coming here because I was going to join my brother, who my parents had already sent a few months before, because he was in the age where the government will take him for indoctrination purposes. My dad, who had experienced the same thing coming from Spain at the turn of the century, running away not from socialism, communism. He knew better. I remember when he used to tell my mom, Fefa, this SOB is a communist. My mother says, look, how can you say that he's Catholic? Look, he's worse. He got a rosary beads all over his neck. It just so happened that when I was in my way to Spain to meet my brother, I was going to go to the Marist Brothers in La Coruña, España. Same brothers here at Christopher Columbus, by the way. My brother died. And I was kept in this country. Greatest blessing I ever had. But imagine what happened to mom and dad. One day, you lose both kids. This is a family who had never been involved in politics. My father came at age 18 from Spain, running from communists. By himself, never went back. After a long, long life of sacrifice, when he was about to enjoy the fruit of his labors, just like a president that is helping us today, because he could have been just having a good time. One of his many beautiful golf courses, I know. But yet he gave up enjoying the fruit of his labors to do this. So did my dad. That's why I love you. Exactly the same. So when they're about to do that, from one day to the next, they end up in this country with the shirt that he was wearing on his back. And Little Maximo have been here already 4 years. But thank God for Pedro Pan. Talking about socialism, Catholic Church, 14,000 kids who came like me in this country without parents. And we were provided an opportunity. This is what makes our country great. They didn't give me free nothing. They gave me the opportunity. That is the most valuable thing in the world. Now, when I said they didn't give me any free something, please understand that at 13 years old, I had to be provided with a home. I had to be provided with food and an education. That is socialism. That's Americanism. That's the America that these people are trying to destroy today by using funny terms like socialism. They're not. They're communist. Don't ever forget that. I know our president understands that because he knows. He's been all over the world, and you're surrounded with great people, very loyal people. And we have our back. I remember the first time I gave a little speech about something like this, to tell him about I came from Cuba and all, blah, blah, blah. I remember this is around October 2016. I thought you were a little crazy for the sacrifice you were about to take. But I predicted that we were going to elect you in November, and I was going to see you in the White House in January. Thank you very much. Because of the situations right now, I cannot give you a hug otherwise. Thank you very much. And I'm going to leave you with one last thing. Never forget about my dad, who only had a sixth-grade education, but I think he was the greatest philosopher I ever met. He used to tell us how lucky he was because he was able to come from Spain to Cuba. And then he came from Cuba to the United States. And he saw me graduate from college, and that was the biggest prize he ever had. And he said, don't lose this place because you're not going to be as lucky as me. Because if you lose this place, you have no place to go. So with that, please keep that in mind. And please, people, explain that to our young people who are demonstrating out there. Don't be useful idiots. Please understand what's happening in our country. See what happens to our parents. And see what is happening to America today.
All right, so that's good. That's how I'm going to finish it. Let me give you a link to that real quick. It's here. Let me link this for you. Put that in the chat. That work? There we go. Yeah. So that's how I'm going to end. That's it. There's so much freaking news out there right now. I'm going to try to maybe stream this afternoon just to go over some of the speeches at the Democratic National Convention just to get a good laugh. Maybe just particularly Cuomo's speech was annoying. Bernie Sanders' speech was crazy. And then what was the other? There's another one I'll remember by this afternoon. Anyway, I hope you guys have a great day. Thank you for joining me today on the Morning Night Live. I'm here Monday through Friday, 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central, 1500 GMT for people in other parts of the world who don't use American time zones. Please, before you go, on the way out, hit the like button if you like what we do, or the dislike. Just interact. Do something. And if you're watching on stream, leave a comment in the comments section so that I know you're here, even if it's just a hey, P-Dog, or whatever you want to say. And finally, share the stream out. And if you'd like to support the channel in a monetary way, you can do that through Streamlabs, the link down below, or Venmo, or Cash App. I use all three of those now for the show. And I hope you guys have a fantastic day. Anything else? No? I worry for your blood pressure. Yeah, I don't get too riled up at watching these speeches, but it is funny just to listen to what they say and you go, oh my God, you're still telling that they're still telling the Charlottesville lie. Oh, call those white supremacists very fine people. Yeah, right. He didn't do that. It's very specific who he is referring to with the very fine people. Just that kind of crap that if I let it get to me, yes, my veins would explode and I'd bleed out all over the floor, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to get a good chuckle from their fuckery. So anyway, thanks everybody again. My name's Dawg Knight and I'm out of here. Bye-bye. Hey, this is Dawg Knight, and thank you for watching today on the Dawg Knight Channel. If you have an observation or remark you'd like to make about this video or my channel, I absolutely welcome you to write it in the comments section down below. I really look forward to hearing from you. And before you go, if you like what you saw but you're not already subscribed, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and definitely click that bell that pops up afterward so you'll be notified when I post new videos or when we go live. I broadcast my live show, The Morning Night Live, Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. A special thank you to all supporters of this channel who share our videos on social media and who make donations through the Streamlabs link, which is also in the description down below. Thanks again, and until next time, I'm Dawg Knight, and I'm out of here.